Once a cop, let it knock, yeah. I for one thing we should celebrate redemption instead of condemning it. Corey Pegues, up, talking truth, bruh. Check it out. Once a cop.
Pull up a seat. You're now in Corey's Corner, where right conversations matter. I'm your host, Corey Pegues, and I always keep it right, not real. Today's guest is someone who embodies service, resilience, and a deep commitment to Brooklyn. Khari Edwards is a proud son of immigrants, a devoted husband and father, and a lifelong public servant who works span healthcare, community advocacy, corporate responsibility, and public leadership, all grounded in equity, access, and opportunity. Diagnosed with type 1 diabetes at the age of 4, Khari understands firsthand what families face when illness enters the picture. The lived experience has shaped his leadership at Brookdale Hospital, his work expanding Make-A-Wish Foundation in Brooklyn, and his efforts to protect and uplift young people across the borough. A C-suite executive and social impact strategist with more than 2 decades of experience, Khari has led enterprise-scale initiatives in high-stakes environments, mobilizing multi-million-dollar budgets, building cross-sector coalitions, and delivering measurable results in public health, social equity, and economic mobility. He's created nationally recognized programs like Changing Legacies, founded youth initiatives like It Starts Here, advised policymakers and CEOs, led through the COVID crisis, and twice put his vision for Brooklyn directly before voters as a candidate for Brooklyn Borough President. At his core, Khari work is about building systems that truly work for the people they're meant to serve. Today we're talking about leadership, accountability, community power, and what it takes to keep showing up, even when the road isn't easy. Khari, welcome to Corey's Corner.
Well, thank you, my brother. Thank you
like
for
that
finally...
intro, right?
Yeah, I need that. Can I
you
keep
need
that?
Yeah, it was nominal fee.
Yeah. You also got to sign the sheet for me, too.
For a nominal fee. This episode of Corey's Corner is sponsored by Vakila, that smooth, refreshing blend of vodka and tequila. Vakila, sip different. And much respect to Corrupt Mob MC, one of the strongest motorcycle clubs out here representing brotherhood, community, and real loyalty. We appreciate the support and salute the entire Corrupt Mob MC family. Respect them all. Okay, let's get into it.
Let's get to it, brother.
Before we start getting into all the accolades, tell me a little bit about your childhood.
Wow. So I had a very interesting childhood. You know, my mom was Trinidadian. My dad is Guyanese. For the first 6 months of my life, I lived in Brooklyn. And then my dad went and took a job in Barbados. So I moved to Barbados when I was 7 months. Came back when I was about 6 years old with a Bajan accent, which was crazy. So nobody really wanted to talk to me. I was born at Brooklyn Jewish Hospital and I've never left Brooklyn since.
Yeah.
Never left Brooklyn since.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned your mother. She was dear to me as the commander of the 6-7 precinct. Yeah. Your mother was a legend. I understand we got a street named after her now, right?
Yes, sir.
That's really nice. I miss your mom. She was a beautiful soul, and she raised a good man.
Thank you. Yeah, she it's funny, you don't really appreciate yours here, folks. Oh, you Eleanor's son. You're Eleanor's son. Even when you met, oh, you're Eleanor's son.
Right.
And not understanding like that unconsciously paved the way for everything that I am now. And you know, her death was, I mean, it was hard. You know what I mean? Like, you know, so for those who don't know, like literally, you know, my mom was murdered in a house by someone who, you know, she always picked up, we called them strays, right? And she always had folks helping her, and, you know, she had a construction business, and that was her thing. And this guy kind of just took advantage of that and, you know, started selling stuff out of the back of her house. And then, you know, we got the call. So that, you know.
Yeah, man, it was very tragic. But, you know, just believe that God, when the number is called, it's called.
Yeah.
You know, she did the best she could do with you and instill the values and morals on you. And that piece of shit that did that to her, he's going to rot in hell.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
mean, listen,
it is
man.
what it is.
But we gave a send-off of legends. So, you know what I mean?
Oh,
we
absolutely.
filled up the entire CCC.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. So
great send-off.
Yeah.
And well-deserved send-off. Now, you was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes at the age of 4. How did that experience shape your empathy and leadership early on?
Man, so the funniest thing, I got a yellow fever shot. So my dad's from Guyana, so I got a yellow fever shot as a kid to, basically go down to Guyana, and my body didn't take the vaccine. And so it kind of like overworked my beta cells, and then all of a sudden I was diabetic, but we didn't know. I mean, no one knew. I just started drinking sugary drinks, losing weight, and then I went into a coma for about 3 months.
Wow.
And
At 4 years old?
At 4 years old. At
Wow.
4 years old. I was the first diagnosed case in Barbados of juvenile diabetes.
Wow.
And it was crazy. So 3 months, and when I woke up, I think you look at the world differently, even though I was at 4 years old, and everything for me from that point on was paying it forward. Like, my mother always called me her miracle child. You got a second chance. You can't mess this thing up. And I'm hearing that from 4 to 40. Like,
Right.
And so at some point that really just shaped your understanding of how you give back to others, And so that is one thing that I could say to folks that, even though I was 4 years old, it made me the man who I am now.
Deep. Now, as a Black man navigating leadership spaces, which you have, when did you first realize representation truly matters?
Whew. Actually, it's funny. I've had some great leaders in my life, right? The John Sampsons of the world, the Carl McCalls of the world, the Major Owenses of the world.
Yeah, you work with legends.
Yeah, Nick Perry was my first job in politics.
Right.
So I got to see what real statesmanship was about. But I didn't really understand my power until I started working for Governor Spitzer. And then those phone calls that came in, I'm getting evicted. I need somebody to help me. My building is falling down. Can you call someone? My kid needs to get married. Like you name it. See, I got the phone calls, and I started like, wow, this is what service is about. And then when I got to Brookdale Hospital, shout out to Brookdale, been around since 1921. I was the first VP of color in the history of that hospital.
Yeah.
99% of their workers are Black and brown. And this was the first time. And so now I got called everything from a token, a sellout.
Right.
But when I went in to do my work, people started saying, look, that's what representation is. And so kind of that's what led me to want to run for office too. But just to see those two worlds for me was really life-changing.
We're going to touch back up on that also. And you just answered, what was that moment for you about being the first VP?
I saw the cards in my mind.
Now, Brookdale serves largely Black and brown community. What equity gaps stood out most to you, and how did you work to close them?
I mean, the equity gaps are just us as people, man. Like, we don't get that resource-rich behavior, right? There are other communities, and shout out to Park Slope and Upper West Side. When they want something, they get it.
Yes.
And
they advocate.
Yeah. And even if they don't advocate, it's just innate in them, right? You ran the 6-7, you knew what it was. Like, we have strong Caribbean homeowners, but they weren't getting their streets paved, right? They weren't getting lights. They couldn't get jobs. And then all of a sudden, you start to see that element of desperation and people just trying to get out or to survive. And so basically when I got to Brookdale, you knew what it was, Brookdale.
We call it Brookkill.
Right.
Brookkill.
Killdale. The patient went to Brookdale and didn't survive.
Right.
And so my role was one to make sure that people understood that there was worth in that hospital, that we had life-saving doctors, to start changing the narrative of not people dying, but that we save people's lives.
Right.
It took us for years to like just get NYPD to bring anybody to us.
Right.
So all of those things were big benchmarks for me. And then we got the urgent care center, and my boss, shout out to Mark Tony, really good guy, white dude. He was just like, what do you think about this urgent care center? And I leaned over to him. I said, yo, Black people like nice, new, shiny things.
Right.
And he was offended. But I'm like, when you realize when you give us something to hold on to, we cherish it. And we did 40,000 visits that first year to that urgent care center because people's like, wow, the staff was treating me nice. The building was nice. And I don't think we understand as a people, when you sit with us, talk with us, give us opportunity, oh, we don't have problems with us. But when you take everything from us, then you wonder why we act the way we act.
Well, I can't talk about Brookdale Hospital without talking about, this is not even on here, about COVID.
Yeah.
COVID, you were in charge, Brookdale, at that time.
Yeah.
And I distinctively remember looking at my television and you doing interviews surrounded by ICE trucks with bodies.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Dead bodies all down, what's that, Linden Boulevard?
All down
Linden Boulevard. You had trucks of dead bodies, like the height of COVID, where people was walking in and just dropping.
Yeah, it was.
And I remember you doing these press conferences, and I'm saying, yo, how's he holding up?
With no permission. So the E True Hollywood story was CNN reached out. So we weren't getting supplies, right? Like, you know, the mayor wasn't giving us stuff because we weren't a city hospital. The governor thought we were getting stuff because at that time the leadership was like, we're good. But people were dying. I've never been around death that way. Like, I'm literally talking to you, don't worry, I'll get the doctor. I turn back to get the doctor and you're gone.
Right.
And it was like that every day. I mean, there was one Saturday night we lost 25 people in 3 hours.
Wow.
Dead. And so my staff, right? You know, $11.99, Nice, everybody was starting, they putting bags on their heads, they trying to figure this out, can't go home to their families. And so CNN was like blowing up my phone. ABC was like, hey, you know, because technically I was the public information officer as well.
Right.
And I'm like, yo, send the truck down here.
Right.
And CNN came in on a Saturday afternoon, and I took them through the emergency room. I took them to the morgues. When I tell you, apparently the governor called my boss and threatened to fire me. It was like, yo, he got to go.
Right.
But I'm like, yo, we're dying.
Right.
And that CNN thing, like, they're still playing that. It's funny because I saw them going through, like, the B-roll, they call it. But that was that moment because there was nothing I could do.
But at that moment, we needed somebody to put the spotlight on Brookdale Hospital.
Yeah.
I mean, it was trucks of dead people.
Yeah.
I could not believe it was ICE trucks sitting out there with dead bodies.
Downstate, Elmhurst, St. John's Hospital. After I got CNN in and they saw I made it, like in terms of I get fired, all three of them went right afterwards because no one really knew what was going on.
Yeah.
Right? No one knew that, like, literally, at one point, Methodist lost 35 people in one night.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Nobody's talking about it.
I want to make sure the audience, Corey's Corner, understand and know that you was on the forefront of that whole COVID issue, and I saw you bring the spotlight to Brooklyn. So kudos to you for that.
Thank you, man.
Your most recent role was head of corporate and social responsibility at Ayr Wellness.
Ayr Wellness. Shout out to cannabis.
Yes. It's in the cannabis business. How did you approach building a force for good model that balanced business growth with equity, expungement, workforce development, and real community investment?
I mean, it's funny that when I close my eyes, I will always want to say that I cared about my people, right? And then when you look at the way I got the job was crazy. So I lost the election, was trying to figure out what to do. Somebody approached, a friend of mine was like, hey, we're looking for somebody to do corporate and social responsibility. And they're like, for cannabis. And I'm like, I don't smoke. Like, it's not my thing. But they were like, look, there are people who look like you who are locked up 5-6 times more than the average person. There are people who are sitting in jail for 20, 30 years for like a size of a roach.
Right.
And the guy was a white guy, John Sendelman. And he was like, look, I'm giving you a blank canvas to save your people.
Right.
Just like that. And I'm looking at him like, save my people. He was like, you're going to understand. And they flew me down. Don't get me wrong. I got paid well. They flew me down to Miami, wined and dined me. I felt like I was the #1 draft pick. And I took the job. And then when you travel the country, so we weren't in New York. My portfolio was 9 states from Nevada all the way to Florida.
Right.
And then when you travel the country and you see like homes destroyed, like, there was one cat in North Carolina, he got caught with like just two spliffs, not even like blunts.
Yeah.
Locked him up for 8 years. So his wife was working 2 jobs at the Campbell Soup Factory.
Right.
So basically, I told my boss, like, we got to give these kids a Christmas. They had 6 kids.
Right.
So we flew down to North Carolina, bought them a tree, took them to Walmart, changed their life for that period of time. He's still in jail, but
Right.
she got a chance to enjoy Christmas. Expungements, you know, when you look at the amount of people who are locked up who have ancillary stuff, right? So you get locked up for cannabis, but you always got to break in and entering thing. And states are just making money off of people. So I spent almost $15,000 per state, brought people in, expunging 60, 70 people at a time, paid for the lawyers to be there from 8 o'clock to 4 p.m.
Right.
And you just see droves of people. And my proudest moment was to go into Florida and give them the big FU, because Florida only allowed you one expungement in your lifetime. So if you had a cannabis charge or a speeding ticket, they were only gonna allow you one.
Right.
So we went down there and we expunged 300 people in Fort Myers, Florida, and the town was pissed. The sheriff was pissed because that's how they made their revenue. That's how they know they pull you over, you going to jail again, bail and stuff like that. And so that whole changing legacies, a brother in New York was like, yo, I've had paper handcuffs on me since 1973. So he had a cannabis charge and a breaking and entering charge, and no one wanted to expunge him. When we came, we weren't even in New York. We came to New York, partnered up with a couple community alternatives, 4,000 people in New York, from Rochester down to the city. Now people are able to get jobs, get housing, healthcare. Like people don't realize when you got a record in certain states, you can't get anything.
You can't get anything.
This dude said he was sleeping on the streets in Nevada for years because he couldn't get his record expunged. That's crazy, man.
So what lessons from that work should policymakers and cannabis companies take seriously as legalization continues to expand?
I mean, it's the peace pipe, man. It's the only place that you would walk into a room and see an Asian guy, you know, somebody from the LGBTQ community, black guy, thug, whatever, all just passing the pipe.
Yes.
Right? And it's wild because it's also a healing thing, man. Like there are the way they're manipulating like these THC models to help you lose weight, to help you diabetes.
Right.
You know, when you have a cancer patient, that's the only thing that opens up their digestive system. You know, I have this rub, this thing called Kind, and if anybody wants to go to Jersey, go to Ayr Dispensary in Jersey. But it's a rub where I have seniors who have like spinal arthritis. They rub that. I got athletes. Like I was talking to the Chicago Bulls guys, they were like, yeah, we could rub this on, good.
Yeah.
And so that it's a healing thing, man. Cannabis is a natural anti-inflammatory from a medical standpoint. You know, I'll tell you I went to my doctor, and so I had, you know, because of my diabetes, I have what they call retinopathy, like it's like the black spots because your sugars are high. So I went to the doctor and he was just like, yo, what have you been doing? And I'm like, what you mean? He's like, all your spots cleared up. And I'm like, yo, I'm dating this girl and I'm smoking this weed. He's like, yo, keep doing it. He's like, it's opening up your veins in your eyes. And I'm like, this is crazy.
I love it.
Yeah. So
you're the president of Brooklyn Make-A-Wish Foundation.
Yeah.
What shocked you most when you learned Brooklyn children were waiting longer for Make-A-Wish experiences?
What shocked me most was that there were people who would not show up for kids for free. So you have kids with any type of disease, right? And to show up to do a Make-A-Wish thing, you see it all on ESPN and stuff.
Yeah.
It costs you nothing. And we could not recruit people to go to some young person's home and be like, what do you want? Do you want to be something? Do you want to go somewhere? You want to meet someone? Or do you want to go on a shopping spree?
Right.
Make-A-Wish paid for everything.
Right.
And so it was like my duty at that point to call all my friends or all my friends' friends and be like, yo, give up 20 minutes of your day. Because see, all it really is that I come into a living room and there's a child there running around and I got a little clipboard and I'm like, what is your wildest dream?
Right.
And he's like, I want to be Superman. I want to go to Disney World. I want to meet Steph Curry.
Right.
And we're able to do that. And so you had over 600 kids in Brooklyn, black and brown, Jewish, white, who didn't get folks to come just to do that for them.
Right.
And so that was how I became the president of Brooklyn Make-A-Wish, because at Brookdale, I ended up getting staff, friends. we ended up knocking that 600 down to like 38 kids that were waiting to get that support. Yeah.
Wow. When volunteers hesitated to come to Brooklyn, how did that moment fuel your determination to build local ownership?
It irked me, right? But I do realize everything's territorial. Everything is, Manhattan folks don't think Brooklyn's safe, right? And we was in the hood. We were in deep parts of East New York, but we also in Borough Park.
Right.
And just to understand, like, people hear about Brooklyn and people name their kids Brooklyn, but they don't want to come to Brooklyn to do the work. So it pissed me off. And so I made sure that they started to move all of the trainings to Brooklyn as well. Shout out to Eric Adams when he was Brooklyn Borough President. He opened up Borough Hall for us to have our gatherings.
Eric Adams is a curse word on Corey's Corner.
Oh,
but
at the time, well, shout out to that former borough president, right? Because he saw a need. And without that kind of support in the hospitals and people, we still would have had problems, man.
Wow. So how did your early childhood illness, the type 1 diabetes, shape the way you connect with the Wish family?
Yo, bro, I'm a crier, brother. I make no bones about it.
Me too, man.
Yeah, and when they sat with me, Erica Sandoval came and met with me, and I only saw, Make-A-Wish on ESPN.
Right.
And when I'm watching on ESPN, I'm bawling. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And when she sat there and she was just like, yo, you don't know what it's like to have a disease. And I'm looking at her like, you have no idea. And so it became like my cape. I had to make sure that I didn't have that. I didn't have anybody come and teach me it's okay. Like, so when I was going through my high school years and I got to go on the side and pump a needle into my system. Like, there are times I wanted to kill myself, man.
Right.
Like, I didn't want to be around. Like, this was too much. And to imagine a kid who's 8, 9 years old. So I saw that kid in me.
Right.
And I was like, nah, this can't go down like this. Like, somebody's got to do something for them. And there are too many able-bodied people who, oh yeah, I feel bad. Nah, come outside. 20, 30 minutes of your day. That's all it costs you.
Wow. Well, if you ever need me for Make-A-Wish,
I'm
sure Corey's Corner.
Listen, and all your listeners too. Trust me when I send Corey that email, because they still recruiting.
Oh yeah, we blast out. Don't worry about that. It Starts Here grew out of a personal experience, right? Involving your son.
Yeah.
How did that moment turn into a community movement? Well, the producer don't have what happened with your son. If you want to share that, that's up to you.
So again, I'm at Brookdale. My son's going to 392 in Brownsville. And my son's 23 years old now, but he was a small little kid. Smart kid, got skipped, so he was in this school even a grade ahead of where he should have been. So he's been riding the bus, train. So he gets on the 3 train, and when he comes home, like, he's rattled. No, in fact, he called me. He got home and he called me crying, and I'm like, "What happened?" He's like, "Well, I almost got robbed." And I was like, "Talk to me." He was like, "Look, I'm in the train car with some headphones, wired headphones, not these Apple Beats, years ago." He said, "All I heard was a gun clip." Cat was like, "Give me your phone." And so he's sitting there stunned because he froze.
Right.
And then the guy pointed the gun in his nose. And then the other kid that was with him was like, "Nah, that's little E. E play ball. Little E play with my." And he said, "Yo, they left me." He said, "But I didn't know." He's like, "If I froze again and that guy wasn't there, I'd have got shot."
Right.
And so there's this brother named Norbert, who was part of the gang unit at for DOE. And Norbert was telling me just about like how a lot of these kids are getting shot, over stupid stuff. And so there was a program called Cradle to the Grave at Temple University.
Yeah. I know about
and so I called the guys who started that, and they were explaining it to me, and I turned it into our own program.
Right.
And so the It Starts Here program was, we would bring in school-age kids from all over Brooklyn, Queens. I mean, we've had folks flying from Milwaukee. We would basically show them what Brookdale's a level 1 trauma center.
Right.
We would show them how we had to save lives. Pulling bullets out of nose cavities, like colostomy bags, everything. And then we take them to the morgue.
Right.
And the morgue, folks is like, yo, the morgue is a dangerous place to take kids. But the impact of seeing fingerprints on the other side of the glass, you've been down there, and joint's no joke. And so the unfortunate part was every time we did this program, we had a dead body. We never, I think one time we had to create one. But Brookdale at one point had 185 penetrating traumas. So that was every other day somebody was getting shot.
Yeah.
And so we brought these kids down. We had maybe over 2,500 kids. It's still going on. Sharon and them still running it.
Okay.
But we had 2,500 kids come. We were in Trace magazine. We were like part of the narrative of gun violence protection. And so I think we predated a lot of these Cure Violence folks, not God Squad, obviously, but we predated.
Who created God Squad?
My man Gil Monroe.
Yeah.
And Corey Pegues.
No. Well, you get the names. The first name goes first, okay?
Oh, yours? Oh, that's right. You're right.
Yeah.
That was you.
Yeah, I created God Squad. Pastor Gil Monroe, my brother, I love you. He knows.
He knows. But he did say
my guy.
He did say that at the anniversary.
Yes,
so you're right.
That's my guy. I love Gil Monroe.
Him and I share the same exact birthday.
Oh, really?
And we're like totally opposite people.
I wonder what he's doing. He's going to be doing now that.
He's going to probably help me run and win this race finally. So
okay, that's what's up.
Yeah.
So, what reactions from all those young people, that 2,500, stand out most when you talk about?
There is one
taking them to the morgue.
There is one, and this was even before the morgue. What we did is we had faces of gun violence first. So when you come into the auditorium, before we had our trauma team come in, we just had pictures up of people who are paralyzed or mothers standing over graves. And this one young kid was like, that's me. And there was a picture of him standing with his mother over his brother's grave.
Wow.
And that thing blew, that took me out.
Wow.
Because he was like, that's me. And his brother got killed 2 years ago. Nah. Because he was just coming from a school.
Right.
And we took them young too, right?
Yeah.
Because one year we had somebody brought an elementary and we were like, are they too young? This young kid was like, I've seen more bodies coming to school than you'd realize. Fourth grade.
Oh,
so so we just, but that was the thing that jammed me up the most.
Wow. Okay. So we have this segment in Corey's Corner called a Spitfire Round. I'm asking you 10 rapid fire questions. You got to answer either yes or no or pick a word.
But before we do that, I got a question for you.
Okay.
So where he always keeps it right, not real.
Yes.
How did we get to that? How did you real, right? Like, how did you switch that?
I'm glad you said that. So nobody ever asked that question, so now I can actually say it for the international audience. So you remember when you was growing up, your mother always told you to do the right thing?
Yeah.
And then this thing called hip-hop came around, it was in the streets, and everybody's like, yo, I keep it real.
Yeah.
So as I got out of the street, I was like, I can't keep it real no more. I got to keep it right. So you do something in front of me, I'm telling on your ass. I keep it right, not real. So that's the whole story behind keep it right, not real. I don't keep it real no more. I used to keep it real when I was in the street.
Right,
like,
right.
I ain't snitching on you. Now I'm telling. So don't do no crimes in front of me. Don't ask me to do anything. I'm telling you right now. I'm telling everything. We too old. We too old to be keeping it real.
Right.
Keeping it real is out. So now y'all finally understand what keep it right, not real.
What did Chappelle say when keeping it real goes wrong?
Exactly. I'm not with the real.
All right,
so let's do the Spitfire round. You ready?
Yeah.
Brooklyn or the Bronx?
Come on, man. Brooklyn.
I don't make the questions, all right?
Well, if anybody know, my first job was in the Bronx, and they threw a brick through my windshield. So I love the Bronx. Dated some girls in the Bronx, but not Brooklyn.
Nah, man, I hate the Bronx. Man. The Bronx is crazy. Early mornings or late nights?
Late nights.
Coffee or tea?
Tea.
Boardroom or block meeting?
Ooh, I prefer the block meeting because it's more real.
More right.
Meaning like folks, it's raw. They don't. No one's really creating. But the right is probably the boardroom because you gotta you got to kind of keep it thing. But yeah.
Okay. Trinidad Carnival or West Indian Day Parade?
So let me tell you something. Shout out to Stinkin' Dutty. I'm on my way to Stinkin' Dutty in Trinidad on February 7th because Trinidad Carnival is a different animal.
Curtis been trying to get me there.
You got to,
for
man.
15 years.
Yo,
man.
and he blacks out when you sing. He ain't even recognize you. There's a couple times Curtis ran by me, didn't even know. But Carnival, I live right off the Parkway, so it's not.
All right.
Yeah.
Shout out to Curtis Nelson, CEO of Sesame Flyers. Toughest lesson politics ever taught you?
It's a blood sport and nobody gives a damn about you.
About that.
Yeah, I got thrown under the bus for something, and I'm watching New York 1 with my newborn baby, and I just see my face all over New York 1, and I'm like, I'm unemployed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Book that shaped the way you think about power or leadership.
The Dream Giver by Bruce Wilkinson. It is a more of a biblical metaphor, but it was about a person named Ordinary who wanted to be extraordinary but had to get out of the world of familiar. And basically, in order to be what you expect to be, you can't stay in your comfort zone. It's only 130 pages, but it was like I've written speeches about just how that process of not being ordinary, how difficult it is to be extraordinary.
Wow. Yeah. Say it again for the people in the back of the room.
Yeah, The Dream Giver by Bruce Wilkinson.
Okay. I was waiting for this question. Favorite spot to eat in Brooklyn? Be careful. You got a lot of restaurants, friends.
Wait. So to eat or to order from? Because nowadays, does anybody eat? So my most favorite restaurant is my kitchen because my wife, who is a vegetarian, this is going to be a pause moment, can cook some meat. Pause. But she cooks
sis, you know how to cook some meat, huh?
Yeah. But so that's the best restaurant. Dang, the best restaurant, man. There's this spot on Tompkins named Sally's. It's a new spot. I like their food a lot.
Sally's?
Yeah, but my favorite spot to order from is G's Restaurant, former Gloria's on Sterling and Nostrand.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
G's still the best spot to order from.
Impact or legacy?
Impact. Somebody told me that, you've done a lot of stuff and no one knows, and I'm like, because it was never about me.
Right.
So the impact is big. And if I got a moment too, I'm actually teaching civics in schools. And this Friday is the inauguration for Mile 11 Junior High School, where we had 145 students participate in civics because if Corey's running for what we used to call president, vice president, we changed it to mayor, comptroller, public advocate. You couldn't run without a team. You had to get a campaign manager, you had to get a comms director, and so all the kids started to fall in love with this. And that's impactful, man.
And you're teaching them about government.
Teaching them about government and their local government, ranked choice vote, and in the 8th graders, in 5 years, they're voters.
Yes.
No one realizes
Absolutely.
that. And so that impact, nobody got to know about it, but we gonna change the world for these kids.
And impact creates legacy.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you for participating in the Spitfire round.
Hi, I'm Assemblymember Clive Vanell, and you got to check out Corey's Corner on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts.
Before we jump back in, I want to shout out my award-winning book, Once a Cop, The Street, The Law, Two Worlds, One Man. In this show, we usually talk about accountability, leadership, and redemption. It encompasses all. And also, it was turned into a feature documentary called A Cops and Robbers Story. You can catch it on Apple TV and Hulu. Thank you for the people who support it, and a shout out to the people who will soon support. And make sure you give me feedback. Email me at oncoryscorner@gmail.com. Now, a word from our sponsor.
This is not your average vodka. This is Vodkila, a decade of cultured excellence. The best of both worlds, the true taste of victory. A delicious dyad spirit, the world's finest blend of vodka and tequila. Vodkila, the perfect blend. From rooftop parties to quiet moments with friends, Vodka brings the flavor, the fire, and the unforgettable. So pour it, share it, live it. Vodka. Visit vodka.net and order yours today.
You've led across healthcare, government, and corporate responsibility. I forgot that you ran for the governor for Spitz. I forgot you ran in New York. You was his New York connect. I forgot about that. What leadership lesson has mattered most in high-stake environments?
Your word, man. You know, I didn't understand that in government, you know, people say stuff and it go right out the window in some cases.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like I said, shout out to the people that I've worked for, like I said, the Carl McCalls, the John Sampsons, who were like true people that cared about the way their community was about, you know, their community received them. And so the lesson I just got is your word. Like if I say, if you like, okay, I got a problem, and if I can fix it, I'm gonna fix it. If I'm not, I can't.
Right.
You know, but I can't string you along and be like, yeah, I got you, and then leave you hanging. And a lot of politicians, whether it's because there's too much stuff going on, or they just forgot about it, they leave a lot of people hanging. And people, I didn't realize at a younger age that honesty really worked.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm like, nah, you know, I got to tell this tale or whatever. But
Right.
if you say your word is your word, folks they're gonna understand that. And I think that for me was the biggest lesson.
Programs like Changing Legacies address systematic barriers head on. What did that work teach you about turning policy into real impact?
For me, it was, I mean, that's why I wanted to be an elected official, right? I was saying I was kind of tired of being the worker who, if I didn't agree with my boss, and I'm not saying that you can't really change things.
I did a lot of years, 20 years with,
and you feeling
like I could do my boss job.
Yeah. I mean, and a lot of times I think, you know, that's why they always say the staffers ends up being the best kind of boss. But also I realized that when you get people in the room, I always say you got 5 fingers, right? And each finger makes up your hand. So if you got healthcare issues, workforce issues, housing, if you can get everybody to come together and support that one initiative, then you win. And so what we ended up doing with Changing Legacies is that we made people realize that you can't hire this person if they got a record. This person can't get an apartment from you. If you know that child can't get their daycare paid. And people started to fall in love with, oh, if I help this person who made a mistake, then now community is back. And so for me, community in that respect was what I learned in this policy piece, because when you have enough people making noise about something, they listen. If you only got 2 or 3 people, oh, yeah, my rent. You know, look, I'm down one on rent because you had 1 million people mad about their rent.
That's right.
And I think that's what we lost the power of numbers and understanding how numbers really move the needle for those kind of things.
Let me ask you, in your view, what makes a coalition actually work? And why do so many fail to create lasting change?
Yeah, so I feel coalitions work when you do have that prize, right? Or you have that one subject matter that everyone could get behind. I think that coalitions fail because you don't have that one unified purpose, and you have other people who are just there for the get along, right? So if we're going to talk about healthcare and everybody is about, okay, we're going to make sure that, you know, our healthcare costs are down, we win. But if somebody's like, oh, well, I just want access for this community, or now all of a sudden, you know, and then you also got to realize too, some people just like being in groups, man.
Yeah.
Some people just want to be part of something and they got nothing to say.
You ran for Brooklyn Borough President twice.
Yeah.
Today's episode that dropped was Assemblyman Clyde Vernell, who you know. He ran 4 times before he won.
Right.
For Assembly. You going at it again?
How old was Clive?
Clyde is in his early 40s.
Right. So I'm 52.
You going for it again?
No, I'm going for it again. Like I'll say that now, because You know, if Reynoso wins the congressional seat, it's an open seat.
Right.
But I'm not gonna lie to you. If it's a 4-year wait, nah, there's too much life that you lose out on. And I realize,
yeah, because you ran hard.
Yeah,
you was everywhere,
and I got my ass handed to me, right? Because the Mamdani train was a faster, better, freer train. And a lot of people attached to that. Even though we had the same ideologies and the same desires,
right?
The mechanism was different. So yeah, if this special election is next year, I'm in. If this election is in 4 years,
right?
I wanna go earn my money, get my pension,
right?
Enjoy myself, and I think I could still serve. Like I'm still doing service, like I said about the schools.
Right.
But as an elected official, that's I don't want to say it's a young man's game, but it'll be tough being 55, 58, trying to run around the borough, knocking on doors. Yeah.
So after 2 runs, what did you learn about Brooklyn politics and yourself?
The same thing I learned the first time around. Like the people that say with you, they ain't with you. They are not with you. You can't take it personal. Folks are like, oh, I need to protect my side of town. I don't want to do it. This second run, same thing. Oh yeah, I got you. I'm gonna help you quietly. It don't mean anything.
Right.
But what I will say though that I did learn this time is that the hand-to-hand combat of door knocking, relationship building is important. It is something that people need and they want to be cared about and listened to and addressed, where you can't just talk to them via Instagram. When you see how Mamdani worked knocking on all those doors, people felt a personal contact. And I think that people forget that politics is about that.
Speaking of Mamdani, he has a robust agenda. He's very out front. Do you think he's going to accomplish most of those things? Yeah. Because if he accomplishes 2, he's gonna be a superstar.
Yeah.
Just 2.
Look, the thing that separates him from all of the ones I've seen before, and I'm talking about from presidentials down, this young man has said he's got 3 or 4 things, and he has not wavered on those 3 or 4 things.
No, he hasn't.
And it's not about the journey for him, it's the result. So if he feel he got to jump over Auntie May to get that, or he got to turn around and kiss a pope, he gonna do whatever he need to do, because that's the core of it. And when you go in with that kind of dedication to that, he ain't promising you nothing else.
Right.
He ain't out there talking nothing else. Those 4 points.
Yes.
And at his inaugurations, he said, we're gonna make buses, and everybody finished it for him. It was like a concert.
Free, I know.
Fast and free.
Fast and free.
So he's special, man. He's special in that he's watched, learned, and DSA, progressive, moderate. This guy's about the mission.
Yeah.
So I think, look, I feel really good for him, because now everybody has to follow suit and come back to the reality of what people want. And you get 1 million votes from being at a 2% chance of winning to 1 million votes. Yeah.
Well, listen, I'm rooting for the guy. I mean, after the last 4 years, this debacle that we had to go through in New York City, let's give this man a chance. He won fair and square. It's democratic society. That's all you can ask for. We look at the benchmarks, 90 days, 126 months.
Right.
Let's see what happens, We'll see what happens. But let's talk about his first hire. One of his first hires was your lovely wife, my sister Jamela.
Yeah.
I mean, known you, 20-something years. It's at least 20 years.
At least
20 years. I remember y'all was just lovebirds, sprinkling salt on y'all. Like, look at
Corey's seen a lot of the drama too.
He's seen everything. And I'm saying, look at these 2 little lovebirds. Y'all was like lovebirds.
Yeah.
And to see where y'all, in a relationship has came, very proud of y'all. But to see Jamila work at first of all, I didn't even know she was representing DC 37, the biggest freaking youth. I mean, this is because she was there for a while. Yeah, I just found out a couple of years ago. I'm saying, Jamila's, damn, I saw her jumping and doing all kind of shit. And now Man, damn appoints her as the head of intergovernment relationship.
Yeah.
If you don't know what that is, that's Tiffany Raspberry had that spot,
Yeah,
right?
Tiffany Raspberry.
And she was under Eric Adams. If you don't know, that's probably the most important position a mayor can assign somebody.
Yeah.
How do you feel about when that post was like a proud husband post that you post up that day? I was like, yo, that's how you do it. Khari's trying to get some points, man, but you can't do it like that. You putting pressure on everybody out here.
Well, you know what's crazy? A reporter, like when they announced her, right? A reporter said, are you her staff or her driver, right? And I laughed hysterically. He was just like, listen, in all seriousness, she's got the hardest job. She has to make sure the relationships are tight so that this mayor gets what he wants. And he couldn't have picked nobody better, right? The reality of you, like I said, you not knowing that she was at DC 37, right. It's to your point about impact versus legacy, right? She's never wanted to be that front-facing.
She's always been behind the scenes.
Always. But
look at the growth. I watched in 20 years her growth, and now, boom, to see as a shining star. I just wanted to make sure we acknowledge her, Jamila. Very proud of you, happy, and wishing all the success for her.
Master strategist. And so when she said she was going to take this job, I was like, what? And she was just like, I have an obligation to make sure that this mayor succeeds.
I love it.
So when she said that, I was like, yo.
Okay. And Jamila, you have an obligation to come on Corey's Corner.
Yeah, we got to. I told her I was coming on.
We give her some time to get her feet wet over there.
You might have Preston security here, but it's okay.
That's fine. You said that work was spiritual for you. What keeps your battery charged when work gets heavy?
That I got tomorrow. I wake up every morning and I look. I have these plants that are by my window, and I just look out at these plants. And I'm not one of these, overly spiritual people that, thank God for waking up and stuff. I do that in my moments, right? Because when we get back to COVID, I got COVID shortly after that interview. And I thought I was going to die. And not die from a perspective of health-wise, but the way COVID attacked people, it attacked your will to live.
Yes.
And I sat in the shower, Corey, and I cried, and I'm praying to God, and God was like, I got you. And in all my life, I've never heard God speak to me. That day, I heard God speak to me. And he was just like, you just got to appreciate the journey that you on. And so when I say things are spiritual, because every road, no matter how bumpy, it leads to a destination. And it's the matter of you can let the destination come to you, or you can manifest the destination. And for me, I wake up every morning, I look at these plants, and every day they grow a little bit. And all I could see is life.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, we winding down. Years from now, what do you hope Brooklyn children say about Khari Edwards and the legacy you left behind?
I don't know if I want anybody to say anything. You know what I'm saying? It's funny. It's funny and disturbing what I'm about to say. As a child, I said, Lord, if I ever died, I would want 2,000 plus people in my funeral, because that means I had a good life. And then when I seen that from my mom, it put things in perspective that a good life can be celebrated even with two people. So I would really want kids to run for office, kids to vote, kids to find their voice. And if somebody was like, yeah, there was a dude that was at my school when I was in 6th grade, I would love that.
Nice.
I would love that, yeah.
Having the radio show on Ayr Jams. What is the feedback coming from all over the Caribbean islands about the United States taking over Venezuela, kidnapping a sitting president?
Whew, so I think
because you got Grenadians, Jamaicans, Trinidadians, you got the whole Caribbean.
We all the Guyanese.
Yeah, and I don't know if you know, but he's looking to take all of those countries over.
Yeah. I mean, there's legitimate fear because of the intention that's coming out of this guy, right? Places like Trinidad, Barbados, they shouldn't worry. Guyana's in trouble, right? Because if you remember, Venezuela was trying to take Guyanese oil a few years ago. So if you start to manifest or create things that are not there, then that's going to be a problem. But he's very strategic, right? Because Venezuela been under problems for a while, and so in some cases, thank God they got rid of this dictator, but not understanding that another dictator is coming in to take their oil. And he ain't lying about it. He's like, oh, we're gonna have Exxon and all these big companies, cipher this oil because he sees what the Iranians and the Iraqis they got. They giving them planes. He sees that money. He wants that money.
Yeah.
This guy's only about himself, man. And my joke is, and it's not a joke, but I tell folks, while we're expecting to sit down and have a gentleman's game of chess, this guy's playing checkers.
Yeah.
He ain't coming to have no fun with you. He's like,
bop, bop,
yeah, thanks.
That's it.
Yeah.
Now, before we wrap, this is excellent interview. I'm happy you came. Is there anything you'd like to share that we haven't shared or covered?
That I'm happy for you, man. You and I have known each other. You're right. And I've seen you go through good, bad, and indifferent, the back issues. People don't know you allowed me to come be a guest speaker at your class in Mega
when I
Evans.
was a professor.
Yeah. But there's just joy in watching your journey because, like I said, journeys aren't always smooth, man. So I've been waiting to get on this show. I've been watching the show, and seeing people. I'm like, damn, I couldn't get a call before Latrice. Chris Alexander, I know you live up the block, but you know what I mean? But
listen, you got the call when you needed the call.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you came on, brother. I appreciate it.
Thank you, man.
Let the people know where they can find you.
Well, my most popular spot is my Instagram, Khari Edwards NYC. That's my Instagram. I'm also on Ari Jam Radio every Sunday at 7 p.m. You can find Ari Jam Radio on your Play Store or your Apple app and download it, or just the website www.irijamradio.com.
Today's conversation reminds us that leadership isn't just about titles or positions. It's about showing up even when it's hard. Khari, thank you for coming on to the show, for your honesty, your leadership, and for continuing to show up for Brooklyn. We appreciate you joining us on Corey's Corner.
Thank you for having me, man. Had a good time,
man.
brother. And the wine is good. Can I say that?
Yes.
Wine is good.
For our listeners, if you found value in today's episode, please like, subscribe, and share. This has been another episode of Corey's Corner. Until next time, keep pushing, keep grinding, and always remember, it's not about where you start, it's about where you finish. I'm Corey Pegues, and I always keep it right, not real. Peace.
Special thanks to our executive producer, our engineers, and much respect to Corrupt Mob for making Corey's Corner possible.
For one thing, we should celebrate redemption instead of condemning it. Corey Pegues, what up? Talking truth, bruh. Check it out. Once a cop, I used to hunt the block. Was caught up in the game, but did a lot to make it stop.